Hello. In this video I'm going to be replacing the lightning jack in an iPhone 5S. So when you plug like a cable in, I'm not getting any charge on it. So I ordered a kit here. Let's see if I can get a better video of this. So I've got a kit here I ordered on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. If this video is helpful to you, then please use my link. It will it's my affiliate link. It helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. And I'll be going through kind of like ifixit.com's guide on this and just kind of seeing what it takes. But let's look at the kit here. This kit, I think it was around $15 when I bought it. Prices can vary. It has, looks like a cleaning cloth here, warranty card, and here's the part. So the port is here, right here. And I think this comes in like a white and a black color. And then this kit came with a toolkit also. So let's go through that. So the toolkit looks like it comes with screwdrivers. It has the Phillips and pentalobe screwdrivers. Looks like there's a wet and dry screen cleaning. Some little like guitar pick spudger things. This is like a flat pry tool here. A pair of tweezers. These look like some pretty sharp tweezers. I think this is a sim removal tool. Spudger, another spudger. Like a probe tool. And a large suction cup. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is remove the pentalobe screwdriver, or pentalobe screws here on the bottom. So I'll stick those in. I'm going to press pretty hard and I'll unscrew these. These are tiny screws. So, and I think these are the only two pentalobe screws, so I'll set those aside with the screwdriver so I remember what those are. And then what we want to do is take a suction cup. So I'm using the one that came with the kit here. We'll try it. I also have a like a tripod GoPro mount thing. I've used this before. This is pretty nice. So if this one doesn't work, I can use this one. This has a nice big kind of grip on it you could yank on. So I'll press this in and I'll pull this apart. You want to be very careful here because there's a cable in here. And you want to pry it up a little until you can get under there with a pry tool. So this is a little tricky. Okay. So I've got under there with the pry tool. I'm just going to pry gently here. Okay, now I'm going to pull the suction cup off. Okay, so you want to pry around the edge here. And you just want to open it just a little bit. And there'll be this little bracket in here. And you want to pop that out carefully. There we go. Oops. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this easily, but there it is. So we'll set that aside. So next you want to pop off the home button connector, which is right here. And we'll use our little poker tool. We'll just give it a little pop, and then we've loosened that connector. So now that we have that, you can pull the phone out, and then this will hinge up. You want to be careful of these cables down here. And now we can kind of brace that. I've seen some different tips. One is to use a roll of tape or something to hold it open. We'll try that. Next we'll take the we'll take our Phillips screwdriver, trying to add some light in here, and we'll loosen these two screws here. Now when you're working with an iPhone, a lot of these screws can be different sizes, so it's a good idea to keep good track of where they go. So for instance, I took those two screws off and I set them over to the side here, and I put the screws next to where they're going to go, so I can keep track. So next we're going to remove the battery connector here. There we go. The battery is disconnected. Okay, next we're going to remove a couple of these screws down here. Like I said before, I think everything left are Phillips screws, so I got to make sure I keep these in the correct order. So now I'm going to pry this up a little bit. Okay, we have the speaker assembly out. I'll set that to the side. Now I'll remove these other screws. Okay. So now I will use this pry bar to disconnect the lightning connector. So this is the battery here, and the lightning is just above that. I'll pop that up. Looks like there's a little bit of glue holding this down. So I'm going to use a small heat gun here just to heat it up just a little bit. It gets very hot very quickly. You don't want to start your battery on fire. I'm going to pop the antenna wire off here so I don't break it. Okay, so we have the part out here. Next we'll compare it to the new part here. I can see right away there's a couple different things, like there's this cover on the microphone that needs to be transferred. So I'll work through that here. Okay, I peeled the microphone cover off. And there's a little tab here on the new one. I'll peel that off. That covers the adhesive. Then I'll put the new microphone cover, cover on the new microphone. I'll press that. We also have this here, this clip thing. I'll pry it off. Okay, I had to go off camera here for a second, and I took the heat gun to this and got this part off here. And then this will go on the new part right here. Like so. So we need some adhesive to tape that down with. So I'll need to hunt something down for that. Okay, I'm gonna come back to that adhesive part there, and I'm gonna look at, on the headphone jack here, we look at the old one, there's a little clip here. See if I can, there's a little clip. We need to take that clip off and transfer it to the new one. Okay, so this is the clip here. And then that's gonna go on the headphone jack here. There's a little hook, wraps around the top, and goes into this screw hole, so the screw holds it down. It goes on about like so. There's a little bit of adhesive on there. So I still need some adhesive on here. So the best stuff I found is this carpet tape. It's probably not the best tape to use in this situation, but it's what I have. So I've got a tiny little bit of tape on there, and I'll route this like it was before. And I'll press this connector down on that tape. Okay, so if we look back in the phone, a couple things to point out. There's a tiny washer here around this side, and this has a little bracket here that needs to be lined up properly. So those are things to kind of watch out for. So now we need to put this back in. So I flattened this out, but this needs to be routed around here on top, like so. Because these two holes are going to line up. Okay. So we've got lots of adhesive here on the bottom. Use the tweezers, I got big hands. I'm going to put this screw in the corner here to stake it down. Or at least start it. And it looks like this little bracket here has gotten out of place. So I'll move it back. I'll put the screw in there next. Okay. Now it's going to get a little tricky here. This microphone has to face out, and there's like some little hooks that are going to fit on either side of this microphone here. So I'll need to press all that back into place. I kind of feel like a magnifier lens would be kind of handy right now, but I don't have one. So I've got the microphone on. press it down, and I have the lightning cable in. And now I'll put this screw in, which is super, super tiny. I don't know if I can even focus on that super tiny screw there. I'll snug these other two screws down now. I still have some adhesive to reveal back here. I did put this screw in right here. I'll have to take it back out, which is fine. I'm a little cramped here. I have a lantern to kind of help light this a little bit. Okay. There we go. And the next screw to go in will be this one up here. Okay. Now I'll get the speaker placed back in. Now this is a little tricky here. There's a little tab here that needs to go fit under, and then this needs to slide under. So we'll have to kind of rotate it in place. So this thing's kind of pressed down on it. I may need to loosen it. I'll see if I can pry it up and get it under there. Looks like I was able to pry it. I'll press it back a little bit. Okay. Now I have 3 more screws to put in here. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure all the screws are somewhat tight. You do not need to put hardly any pressure on these screws. Okay, so I've got all my screws in, and now I will get the antenna cable here, which kind of started to hide itself. And I'll reattach that to the stud on the board. Okay, I had to take this offline for just a minute because I had to dig in there real close. But so this cable comes through this little groove on the speaker and then plugs in here. I found that if I kind of press down on my thumb to kind of hold the cord, I could maneuver this in place until I got it lined up, and then I pressed down. That seemed to kind of work, but it was tricky. So next I'm going to remove this adhesive here on the back. There's a blue tab. Pull that off. We'll line up the connector here. Get it. Press down. This looks like another tab here. Okay. So that's self-adhesive there. Now we'll put this bracket back on. Well, after I'll hook the battery up. And I just noticed something here. I spent all that time putting the antenna cable in, and the battery cable looks like it needs to go under it. So I'm going to take that offline and fix that, and then the battery will snap right in there. Okay, I didn't have to reroute that. I had to reroute it just slightly different, but I had it in the right order. The antenna cable is going to come up to this little tiny gap here, and it's going to press in here, and then the battery cable is going to come to the side of it. So the antenna cable is still kind of sticking up just a little bit. Press that down. And now we can put this bracket on. Right there. These have the tiny screws. So now we need to start putting this back together. The top back on, I mean. So this is going to slide in just a little bit here. Kind of stick it in and push it down. And then back here we need to connect this back up. Let's see if I can get a light somewhere where you can see it. You'll see that connector hanging down. We will get that connected back into the connector there. That's kind of sticking up. That adhesive didn't stick super great. So this will press back down. Okay. It's hard to do that on camera, but I got that pressed back in there. Then we're going to take this little tiny bracket. You'll see the orientation I'm holding it in. We're going to snap it back on there in that orientation. So it's got the little hook in the front and the two little indents in the back. Okay, I got that in there. I had to do that offline. That was tricky. You have to hinge it off the back portion, then pop the front in. So now I'll get the case back together. I'll start at the top, make sure that's in, press it down all the way around. Okay. Now I will Put a charge cable in there. Oh, it's very tight. And I've got like a little battery pack thing here. And zoom out a little bit. I have a battery pack, I'll plug into it. Okay. And doesn't quite look like it's oh, it does look like it's working. So when it's unplugged, you see that? So there's nothing on the screen right here. When I unplug it, it shows the plug connector, so that means it's working. So now I'll just put these last two screws in and then it's done. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and thanks for getting through this whole thing. I know this was kind of a mess and difficult, but I know a lot of people will be reading the instructions and they want to kind of see someone else do it first. So you know, hopefully this was helpful to some people. But thanks for watching, and goodbye.